As we head into another weekend of ITU racing with the World Triathlon Series in Bermuda, we thought it's probably time we did a bit of an ITU season preview.
We've got attacks on the bike, we've got sprint finishes, we've also got blistering run splits. ITU racing is fast and it's furious.
Many of us have been absorbed by long-distance, non-drafting world of triathlon. So give me a moment to explain what the ITU is. It stands for the International Triathlon Union, which was set up in 1989 as the sport's governing body with a mission to promote the appeal of the sport worldwide.
Yeah, the primary distance for ITU racing is the sprint distance and the standard or Olympic distance. In fact, the ITU were behind getting triathlon included in the Olympic Games, hence the Olympic distance. And this race is over a 1.5 kilometre swim, a 40 kilometre draft legal bike, and then a 10 kilometre run.
Well, for those of you more familiar with the long distance pros, we've actually seen previous world champions come from the ITU circuits, such as Jan Frodeno, Patrick Lange and Daniela Ryf.
The spectacle of ITU racing is the World Triathlon Series, or WTS for short. And as the name suggests, it's a series of events dotted around the globe throughout the year and attracting the best ITU athletes.
Yeah, well, it started in Abu Dhabi with a sprint distance, and now this weekend we head off to Bermuda for an Olympic distance race.
Then on to Yokohama and then to Leeds.
And after that is Hamburg, then followed by Edmonton, both of which are sprint distance races.
Then the series heads to Montreux and then finishes on the Gold Coast in Australia.
And the male and female athlete with the most points that's accumulated both from that race in the grand final and their 5 best scoring WTS races gets crowned world champion.
Abu Dhabi last month was a nail-biting race. We expected to see athletes tearing it around the F1 circuit. Instead, we witnessed athletes trying to keep it rubber side down on a very wet and slippery course.
Yes, well, this played into the hands of Henry Schoeman on the men's side and Rachel Klammer on the women's.
This weekend we're heading to Bermuda, the home of 2017's female ITU World Champion Flora Duffy, and she's certainly had her input on the course design. It's a 2-lap 1500 metre swim and then a tough 10-lap bike course, taking in the steep and narrow corkscrew hill with a couple of switchbacks and then a 4-lap run.
Well, I think the bike leg could be really quite a decider in this race. So if the athletes do manage to break away on the swim, then onto the bike, they could end up increasing that gap lap by lap quite easy. So it's really going to play into the hands of those strong swim bikers such as Flora, and she could well be joined by Jess Learmonth. And if those two do manage to make that break after the swim, I think they could be hard to catch.
In the men's race, it's going to be a little more tactical, I think, to make that break and to make sure that any of those chasers don't manage to bridge across. But pretty sure all eyes are going to be on the current series leader, Henry Schoeman.
Yokohama is less hilly, but that does not make it less exciting. It's a fast and technical 9-lap bike course, which last year actually saw Jonathan Brownlee fall off due to the rain and the wet conditions. And then it moves on to a fast 4-lap run course, which Mario Mola took the advantage and ran away with it last year. But one to watch could be the Norwegian powerhouse Christian Blumenthal when he finished 3rd last year on that course.
Well, the swim takes place in the harbour, which can be quite choppy, allowing the stronger swimmers to take advantage. Last year, it allowed Flora Duffy and Sophie Coldwell to make a break, and they maintained that onto the run. Now, I was on the edge of my seat watching this last year, and I'm sure it'll be the same for 2018.
Leeds WTS event will be following on just a few days after the team mixed relay in Nottingham. The WTS event starts on the outskirts of Leeds. Now, with the transition from the swim to the bike, it's actually at the bottom of a hill. And last year we saw Alistair and Jonathan Brownlee, the hometown favourites, take advantage of this to launch their attack as they were very quickly onto their bike and soon at a T1.
Well, the bike then heads into the centre of Leeds to complete 7 smaller and technical laps and then onto a 4-lap run course. Last year we saw the women's race won by Flora Duffy, but given that non-Stanford and Jess Learmonth live in Leeds and train in Leeds and know the course so well, could this be their chance to beat her?
WTS Hamburg is another sprint distance event, and it's in the heart of the city, and it's dubbed one of the best for atmosphere as spectators line the streets to support the athletes. And it consists of a 1-lap swim, 6 laps on the bike that are flat but incredibly technical, and then it finishes off with a 2-lap fast run.
Whilst it may only be a sprint distance, it includes a number of sharp turns and accelerations out of the corners, making it a very demanding race for the athletes. Last year, Jacob Birtwistle took second to Mario Mola, but given his current form, could this course play into his hands?
In the women's race, we saw Flora take another win, mainly due to her expert handling skills on the bike. But we did see Ashley Gentle putting on a little bit of pressure when it came to the run. So if some of the athletes can stick with Flora on that bike, we could end up with a really exciting run race. And then just one day after the individual, they have the World Championships for the team mixed relay on the same course, but obviously just a bit shorter.
Then we hop over to the next round of the WTS over in Edmonton, Canada, and it's another short, sharp sprint distance. Last year it began with a beach start into a 1-lap swim and then a fast 6-lap bike course on the wide open roads with a technical section at the far end of the course, and then into a 3-lap out and back run course with a slight uphill on the way out.
Well, we witnessed a pretty tight running race between Jacob Birtwistle, Mario Mola and Richard Murray. And this year, I mean, it's a long way ahead to know who's going to be actually racing. But if Vincent Louis can stay in touch on the bike, then he's one to watch as well.
Well, over in the women's race, it was another dominant performance by Flora. But the USA made up 5 of the top 10. So it's clearly a course and conditions that suits them. Perhaps they'll make things exciting this year. And then to round off the weekend, we have the mixed team relay and the final round for 2018.
The WTS race in Montreal is Olympic distance and has a 2-lap swim course that's borderline often as whether it's wetsuit or non-wetsuit swim. And then onto the bike, it's a 9-lap course that undulates and it goes through some of the city's oldest streets. It's not particularly technical though, and it has some straight sections, and then it finishes off with a run that's a 4-lap course on a similar route to the bike.
Well, in last year's race, it was Javier Gomez that took the win in the men's, whilst Jonathan Brownlee faded, allowing Christian Blumenfeld and Richard Murray to take second and third. In fact, Blumenfeld won it the previous year, so he's going to be a hot favourite going to this year's race.
Well, on the women's side, it was actually the only race that Flora Duffy lost. They came off the bike in a big pack, and it was Ashley Gentle who managed to outrun Flora and take the win. And the previous year, Gentle had actually finished second when it was a World Cup to Flora, so it's going to be interesting to see that battle between those two again.
Then we have the grand final this year on the Gold Coast in Australia, and the race is actually going to start from the same location as the Commonwealth Games triathlon in the Southport Broadwater Parklands. And although the race course hasn't been fully confirmed yet, we know from last year it was a non-wetsuit swim from a pontoon start and the chance of some choppy waters. The bike course is fast and flat, although very technical with a number of dead turns and sharp corners, and then run course also flat and fast, but with a dead turn at either end of the course.
Well, in the men's race last year, Mario Mola won that, but then when it came to the grand final, it was Vincent Louis who got the win in a very close finish. On the women's side, Andrew Hewitt won in the Gold Coast, but the grand final was won by Flora Duffy. So, I mean, this is the final. Everyone's going to be out there to win, and you never know, we could even see a surprise winner.
If you haven't already watched the World Triathlon Series, then I fully recommend you tuning in this weekend for the next round in Bermuda.
Well, I'm certainly going to be, and it's going to be fast and furious. And if you don't want to miss any of our GTM videos, you can subscribe by just hitting the globe. And last year we caught up with Christian Blumenfeld and had a look at his bike, and that pro bike video is just here.
And we've mentioned today a few beach starts in the WTS series this year. If you'd like to find out how to do your own beach start, click down here.